Hello everyone, welcome back. So today I want to talk to you guys about trying to plot a path forward to make some gun rights gains. Okay, so there's three ways to push. Okay, and we should push on all of them, right? You got there's three branches, right? You got judicial branch, legislative branch, executive branch. Okay, so we've been pushing on the judicial branch. Okay, we had the victory in the Bruin decision. But things have kind of slowed down. The Supreme Court has pretty much been rejecting a lot of the cases that we would like to push through to them. In fact, just today I heard that they're denying, in cases where the gun rights groups have been successful, they're not allowing them to collect, the legal fees. Right? They're coming up with all sorts of reasons. One of which was it was not they didn't get a final judgment. It was a moot decision, hence they're not allowed. They're not supposed to get a legal fee. Bullshit. The point is that the judicial branch, right, Supreme Court, is not something that we can depend on. As far as I can tell, well, you got like three justices that are like outright, outright anti-gun rights. Two of them, Clarence Thomas and Alito, that are on our side, but the rest of them are really wishy-washy. Okay, the rest of the so-called conservatives, they're more interested in protecting the institution, the procedures. They're interested in essentially protecting the power of the courts against the other branches of government. Okay, so they're institutionalists. They're mostly interested in protecting the institution, and they want to basically keep the courts in business, right? They want to keep the lawyers working. They want to, they want to keep the courts busy, right? Because that's their business. Okay, so we should keep pushing through the judicial branch, but I'm not expecting, any major gains to come quickly from that direction. Okay, so the other way is legislative branch. Okay, so we've got two pieces of legislation that are moving through the Congress. With regards to getting suppressors out of the NFA, you got the Hearing Protection Act and the SUSH Act. Okay, it's most likely going to pass the House. All right, most likely, not guaranteed. Most likely, but on the Senate side, okay, I don't know, because remember in the Senate you have to have 60 votes to overcome the filibuster. Okay, so first of all, you got 5 rhinos, right, that I have very little confidence of, right, or at least about 5 rhinos, right, it might be more. Okay, and then on top of that, you got to win over anywhere from 5 to 10 Democrats, right, in order to overcome the filibuster. Okay, that's gonna be tough, man. From everything I saw during the hearing confirmations, I have very little confidence right now of that actually happening. Okay, there's just rhinos are a real thing, man, and again, on top of that, you still got to win over Democrats. So, what are we left with, right? So, I think the place where we are strongest right now is in the executive branch, and I don't mean specifically Trump, although I really like what he's doing, particularly with defunding Democrats, right, taking away their U.S. aid money and all that stuff. I like what Trump's been doing so far, but where I think we are strongest is with Kash Patel as director of the FBI, and then Dan Bongino as his second in charge. Okay, so Kash Patel, the FBI director, he's already on record with having very close ties with the GOA, right, Gun Owners of America. Don Bongino, second guy in charge, he's had really close ties with the NRA. Okay, so you've got two guys here that are clearly pro-gun rights, and the rumor is that Kash Patel is going to become the acting director of the ATF. Okay, acting director. And I guess that would mean that Bongino is now second in charge of the ATF. So basically, we've got a really good, position at the ATF. Okay, so that's been the thing that's been been working against us for the last more than 4 years, right? 6 to 8 years, going all the way back to Waco. Okay, we've got we've got our people in there. Okay, so I think we need to really press that advantage. Okay, so what I want, and I think they're going to do it anyway, right? What I think they're going to do is they're going to rescind all the ATF rulings on the pistol braces, on the frames and receivers. I think that's all going to be rescinded, which is really good. Now, initially, I was thinking, hey, maybe this is better to let it run through the courts so we can get precedent. And what I found out is that, hey, these cases, including, let's say, the victory that we had with the bump stocks, okay, that wasn't a Second Amendment victory, right? We didn't win that on the grounds that it was a Second Amendment violation. We won that on the grounds that the ATF violated their procedural rules, okay? So the same deal with the frames and receivers and the pistol braces. Even if we let it run through the judicial system, that's the best we're going to get, which doesn't do us a whole lot of good at this point. We've already got that victory, right? So it makes sense to rescind these immediately, right? And then what we can do, what makes a lot of sense, is to use the ATF to issue an opinion to get these suppressors out of the NFA, okay? And there's a bunch of ways that they can come up with, right? They got their lawyers, right? They can come up with a bunch of creative ways, right? They can say, for example, that, first of all, in the NFA, it says silencers. It doesn't say suppressors, okay? So the other thing is that the term silencer refers to an item that received a patent. So if it doesn't follow that exact design, it's not a silencer, okay? Now, I did mention these two things in the prior video, and people were, some people said, hey, the NFA says anything that reduces the rapport. Don't give a shit, okay? The point is, we got our people in there. Issue the opinions, right? Let the companies start selling these directly to the public and put like millions of these in circulation, and let the anti-gunners fight us in court, right? Because everything that we have done over the last 4 years, right, with fighting Biden's ATF, let them go do that, right? Because here's the thing, like the GOA and a lot of these gun groups, right, they spent a whole bunch of money, used up a whole lot of resources to fight this through the court system, okay? If we don't do the same thing, right, because let's say like all these anti-gun groups, right, they have like money that they got sitting there, right? If we don't do that, that money's going to sit there, right? And then they'll be able to use it for other things, like, for example, trying to restrict AR-15s, or or do more magazine bans. Okay, so it makes sense to keep them as busy as possible and burning up their money, because on our side right now we've got the ATF. So legally, like, we would have the Justice Department fight that on our behalf, right? Using, we would have the government fight that on our fight. If not the Justice Department per se, but we would have the government fight on our behalf using government money, okay? Whereas the anti-gunners, they now have to use their own money, their own resources, okay? So it makes sense to get the suppressors out of the NFA by decree, right? And let them fight that through court. Meanwhile, let the companies start shipping suppressors directly to people's houses, right? Unserialized, get millions of them into circulation. And you know what? If let's say a year or so, or maybe 2 or 4 years, right? It took 4 years for us to overturn the bump stock ban. Well, 4 years from now, if the anti-gunners ever have a victory, right? Actually get a victory, it says, hey, this ATF over here, right? It violated the procedural rules when they took the suppressors out of the NFA. All right, fine. So now they got to reverse it. Well, you know what? They're not getting the suppressors back, right? Once we get those suppressors, once they all go out into circulation, just like they didn't get the bump stocks back, they didn't get the pistol braces back, right? Same deal with suppressors. Once they go out, once they ship out the door, unserialized, unregistered, they are never going to get them back, okay? So 4 years down the road, yeah, you know what? Who cares if they have a victory? But plus, on top of that, we get them to spend all that money and waste all that money and use up their resources. What we don't want them to do is we don't want them to hold on to that money to pick and choose, how and when they're going to spend it. Okay, so tactically, this makes a lot of sense. Okay, press our advantage, get the suppressors out of the NFA, let the anti-gunners, have at it in the courts. Okay, the other thing that we can do is on the frames and receiver side, right? Aside from overturning the rule that first of all we can 80 because what we had they were selling the unserialized frames, right? The 80% frames, 80%. Why stop? Why not 95% or 99%, right? Where all you gotta do is drill one hole. Okay, so we can really push on that. And the other thing that we can do is the way that the law is technically written, right? And I'm just gonna paraphrase here. I'm not gonna get into too deep into the details, but the reason why, for example, the upper receiver, okay, on an AR-15 or the slide on your pistol is not considered a firearm, right? Is because it's a part that doesn't include all the components necessary for the gun to fire. Okay. So the upper receiver or the slide of your pistol only has the firing pin, right? It doesn't have the trigger group, right? So the same thing applies to the lower, right? Even the lower of an AR-15 or the grip of a pistol, okay? It contains the trigger group, right? But it doesn't contain the firing pin. So that part is not a complete firearm, okay? So the same way the slide is not a firearm, the lower is not a firearm. And this is not something I just pulled out of my ass. This is something that, a case that has already been made in the past, okay? But the point here is that we can now get the ATF to, go along with that and say, hey, you know what? This is pretty valid. This is our opinion. From now on, lowers and pistol grips, they're not firearms. They don't need to be serialized. They can ship direct to people's houses, okay? Complete, right? 100% complete. And again, let the anti-gunners spend their resources, their money, their time fighting that through the courts, okay? So this is basically a war of attrition. You want to basically wear down your enemy. And right now they're getting worn down pretty good because they lost that U.S. aid money, right? A lot of that U.S. aid money, was making, the long way around, was coming back to the anti-gunners. So they lost that financing, okay? So whatever money they got stockpiled now, we need to get them to burn through it as fast as they can, okay? So I think that this is the path forward. So what I'd like you guys to do, right, is to spread this information, right? Spread this idea out there. You can either share my videos or you can make your own videos. I don't care. Or get on the different online forums and start typing, or go into the comments section and just start typing, right? And spread the information. This is what we need. I mean, we're not going to get any immediate victories out of the Supreme Court. We're probably not going to get anything out of the Congress, okay? We've got the executive branch right now. That's our home team right now, right? We got to press the home advantage, okay? Let's use the ATF to benefit us, right? Try to expand gun rights as much as we can, right? And then down the road, let the anti-gunners try to get that jack back in the box, okay? So drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you all soon.